Welcome, beloved roses, Magdalene roses. Welcome to the Radiant Rose Conclave. This conclave, let us together, let us make it memorable, so that in future conclaves, as we speak back of this one, it will be remembered as the great love conclave. To make that so, we must not only be prepared to receive love, we must be prepared to give love. Now that you are awake, you know that hidden within the physical heart, there is a tiny yet mighty flame. It is the flame of divine love. As you spiritually grow in consciousness, so too that flame is to grow with you. That flame within your heart is to come under your command. That flame of love, no matter how small, has the power to project billions of light rays carrying love out into the world. Will you not now turn your attention, perhaps with your right palm over your physical heart and your left palm on top of your right palm? And just hold your hand there. And might you affirm inwardly, might you give this direction to your own heart flame, saying inwardly, I love and bless the great love flame that abides within my heart. I am grateful that I am awake and that I know of such power that abides within my heart. I call upon my love flame to rise up, to expand, and to release its mighty love, rays of its love, out from my physical heart. A ray of love for everyone who is in this room. And that ray of love to come around each person and to form a cocoon of eternal love around each person all throughout this weekend. I call upon the great love flame in my heart to expand and to greet the ascended and angelic host who come to be with us this weekend. I thank you. Blessings, beloved roses. Please make yourselves comfortable. The fraternal order of the Fellowship of the Rose. This is our theme. Yet before we leap into this, let me say a few things. A few things that helps us to appreciate where we are in life. If everyone on the earth had a state of consciousness like you presently have now, if everyone's consciousness on earth was like yours, there would instantly be no crime, there would be no murder, there would be no hatred, there would be no racism, and there would be, for the most part, no discord left acting in this world. That's what this world would be like if the almost 7 billion life streams that are presently in your world, if they were all like your consciousness, friendly to the light, open to the love. A group of people who have recognized through your own awakening, through your own study, that you begin as beings of consciousness. And as beings of consciousness, you belong to a race that has traveled to this planet 15 million years ago. And you traveled from the greatest star at the center of the universe, the great central sun. At that time, you lived in remarkable, non-physical bodies. Your bodies were more of an electronic light nature. They did have a substance to them, but there would be no point in describing that substance to you, for your present mind, which is yet entrenched in duality and has never experienced electronic substance directly, could not fathom that kind of body. And it is therefore that reason that always on these sacred stages is presented to you when you look in the upper portion of the chart of the I Am Presence, and you say to yourself, well, if I come from a long distance star, and before I came to this planet I was a non-physical being, what did I look like? That, beloved roses, was the great golden being from the great central sun that you looked like. You were capable of emanating tremendous rays of light, filling every place and space that you lived with more light. So once again, I say to you, if the consciousness of the people of earth, if the people of earth had reached a level of understanding, of consciousness that you have reached and achieved, crime, war, hatred would disappear almost overnight. Peoples, nations would be seeking peace with each other. Horrific weapons of war, science would be dedicated to undoing those weapons of war. Wouldn't that be something? Mm-hmm. Yet that is not the way it is. You are amongst perhaps, and it is growing every day, you are amongst 2% of humanity. 2% of humanity who is reaching out beyond the norms, the given, the belief systems of the world. And as such, you have found a higher knowledge. The one thing that you had to make peace with as you sought a higher education is that you had to make peace that the 5 major religions and the lesser religions too have no ability to give you peace. They have no ability to answer the question that every person asks sometime in some life, somewhere. Who am I? Where did I come from? Why am I here? Does my life come with purpose? Does my life come with a divine plan? Imagine that. 97 to 98% of the people of earth do not have truthful answers to those questions. You do. Because something inside you caused you. And it probably began causing you over a series of lifetimes. Now that's a problem when something in you causes you to think differently, look differently, act differently. And this begins over a series of lifetimes. Your very first challenge there is that the majority of people do not believe that they live many times on earth. The majority of people, unless they're perhaps some sect of Hinduism or Buddhism, the majority of people do not believe in reincarnation. And do you understand what a problem people put upon themselves? That's like saying, I don't believe in the 700 times I've been on the earth. You have watchers who live in great realms of light. You have higher dimensional realities, great cosmic beings, ascended beings, mighty lords of light, and they have watched your race since you arrived for 15 million years. And you must think about this. If you stood before the Empress of Venus, and if you stood before her and you tried to tell her, what do you mean I've lived on earth before? This is the only life that I know of. I haven't lived before. She would probably immediately excuse you and invite you to return to your realm of ignorance. So you see, trying to awake the people up and answer the critical questions of life, it's a problem from the beginning, because people of the earth, their religious beliefs, their educational beliefs, their experiential beliefs and perceptions are all working against them. Where do you start to try to explain to a person, well, you know, you've lived many lifetimes. What do you mean I've lived many lifetimes? Conversation's over. But the truth is, within every person, there is a something, by whatever name you want to call it. And the unfortunate trauma of the people of earth, it usually takes a lot of suffering. Suffering in which no one in the world has the answer for why you're suffering. No one. And you're generally left to look other places. Places that are not found in this world. You're left to turn within. You're left to try and be dangerous for a while. Do you know what it is like to be dangerous for a while? It's to go out. Go out into the cities, go out into the plains, go out into the world and see if there's anyone else like you. To see if there's anyone else that's saying this world doesn't make sense. Religion doesn't make sense. No one's telling us the truth. I can't go to university and find out the questions to the most critical questions I have, to find out answers to those critical questions. Who am I? Where did I come from? Why am I here? And today you have those answers. There is a something in every human being. The more dense a person becomes, the more injury that has happened to a person over many lifetimes, that injury and that denseness covers over everything that is wonderful about you. It covers over your soul. And it's only after having many lives that begin to clear those things, that the soul within you, your heart within you, begins to silently and quietly be a feeling, a prompting, a something that has you looking for something else, that has you connecting to people that you don't even know your life wants you to connect with. And here you are today. You are walking the most uncommon path. And you, beloved hearts, and people like you on other spiritual paths. We must honor all spiritual paths where people are leaving a worlds of education and religion where they're not getting their answers, and they are finding a variety of spiritual paths that they investigate to see if those paths have some answers, to see if those paths will bring more richness and make a difference in their life. You have found the path of the eternal rose. It is the path of the mother's presence. It is the path that Gautama Buddha used to bring forth his own enlightenment. It is the path that Jesus the Christ used to bring forth his own enlightenment. It is the most uncommon, even amongst all spiritual paths, it is the most uncommon path because it is a path that provides studies, that provides resources, provides tools. And if you use those resources and tools, if you study and you meditate and you learn the ancient art of decree, it is soon that you realize that you have found something that is changing you. It's changing you and it's changing your world. You soon, and it's a path that brings a raising activity. No longer do so many of the real horrific things affect your life. You know by the very nature of who you've discovered yourself to be, the way you are living your life, the new relationship that you are developing with your own divinity, the relationship that you are developing with great cosmic beings who are coming to your planet now, the relationship that you are developing with the angelic host. You know you are safe. Where just down the block from where you live, someone on any day and any moment who is not spiritually awake, not spiritually attuned, is at the mercy of this matrix of your third dimension, where every day, every second of every day, there is a horrible accident. There are horrible crimes. So horrible that people lose their lives. These things do not touch you anymore. You are no longer a part of the mass consciousness, and all the things that are parts of the mass consciousness no longer touch you. They no longer affect you. And that's just the beginning. Because your consciousness seeks to raise you up and out of the limited consciousness of duality and into a higher consciousness where you can discover truth. You can then study that truth and find the tools and resources that you can use to become that truth. Welcome to the path of the rose. Welcome to the path of resurrection. Over the years, this student body has been raised through many passages of resurrection. Some history. The 33 paths of resurrection, the 33 passages were created by Lord Melchizedek and myself 12 million years ago. Before the fall from grace, in the first 2 million years, when you were all perfect beings, perfect light beings, who had come to the earth to teach yourself how to infuse your biological forms with light so that you could manipulate your bodies with absolute perfection. At that time, unbeknownst, unremembered to you, what you now discover as the Himalayan mystery schools, they opened the moment that your race arrived on the planet. But you didn't go to the mystery schools to achieve resurrection. You were already cosmic beings of light who came from one of the greatest star systems to a planet to enter into physical reality and physical bodies. For you to accomplish this, you had to go to schools, the Himalayan mystery schools, in which you were taught how to gradually infuse your biological forms with cosmic light substance. That's why you went to those schools back then. After 2 million years of perfection came the fall from grace. Your people choosing a new experiment. The experiment went horrible and ended up losing your higher consciousness, and soon that became then the human consciousness, the consciousness of duality. The Himalayan Mystery School remained open. And ever since that time, some 13 million years ago, only 5 to 10 students a year out of your race is 10 billion. And 5 to 10 students would reach the Himalayan Mystery Schools. And there they were taught once again to restore into their consciousness, for they had lost the consciousness of perfection. They had lost the knowledge of the tree of life. And instead, infecting their minds was the horrible knowledge of good and evil that every religion in this world yet perpetuates. Nonetheless, century after century, over a course of 13 million years, 5 to 10 human beings who asked the question strong enough, who felt something stir within them, found these ancient mystery schools. They studied the truth, just as you are studying the tree of life now. Eventually, they themselves were raised through the 33 passages of resurrection. When the principal of the Himalayan Mystery School at that time, Lord Melchizedek, when he saw that there was a change, subtle at first, yet it was coming on strongly, and that change began to be suddenly seen by the principals and teachers of the mystery school, usually took place in the 26th passage of resurrection. You are in the 26th passage of resurrection. It is that Lord Melchizedek and I discussing back then, we could see the subtle changes in the students. They too were studying the tree of life, just as you are now. They too had begun to enter into the metamorphosis meditations. It was those meditations that was producing sensational kinds of new energies in the body. Lord Melchizedek came to me and said, Akasha, we must do something. And what we did is we created the Fraternal Order of the Fellowship of the Rose. For those individuals in the mystery schools where we could see a quickening was taking place in their lives, we knew that with a little bit more assistance that we could advance their paths. We could bring them home more quickly to the state they existed before the fall from grace, the resurrection. And so, for those students, and every 100 years, there was only 5, 7, 10 of them, we drew them into a fellowship, a sacred family of roses. And they were called roses. I was not on your earth. Your people did not even know Akasha. This is many millions of years ago. But your Lord Melchizedek knew me very well. And it is himself and I that ordained this order. We created the Fellowship of the Roses so that these roses could come together like a tight family, that eventually they could be one consciousness, where if there was attainment in one, if that consciousness could blend with the other student's consciousness, that attainment could become the others. I've briefly spoken to you in the past. This is the theme of the Fellowship of the Rose, and that's as you and you and you and you, that your spiritual experiences, your attainment comes on. And it comes on a little stronger and a little quicker than it does for other students. Because perhaps there's other students who are raising children and have a lot of responsibilities, and maybe they don't have enough, the amount of time for dedicated study and meditation. And maybe you do, and maybe you're advancing, or maybe other students have a different history than you do. All sorts of reasons why there's always students who are at the head of the class. Yes? But the thing is, we saw this in the mystery schools. And when we saw the quickening happening, It is Melchizedek that brought this to me and said, if we create a fellowship under the ancient orders of fellowships, that will be explained to you later, but this is a universal ancient order. And when a group of people are brought into a fellowship, there is a family unity that begins to birth. That family unity within each member of the fellowship begins to be assisted by the light of the Father consciousness and the love of the Mother consciousness. Their own consciousness begins a blending. To assist this quickening, we knew we needed to create a fraternal order that would consist of powers, gifts, great cosmic beings who could come to assist. The assistance must not come because we could see the quickening, and we knew that that quickening was not coming from your human side of you. That quickening was coming from your divine side of you, the grand cosmic being within. So we begat the fraternal order of great cosmic beings and powers to begin to assist the grand cosmic being that you're meditating upon. That you seek that hero within you be given its freedom to elevate itself and to come forth in the physical embodiment that you have been given. This was the purpose of the fraternal order, of cosmic beings and powers in which the intervention would not come to you in the way it comes from ascended masters in the ascended master instruction, where a master comes to you, goddess of harmony, she comes to you, she offers her harmony into your feeling side of life. Under the ascended master instruction, you know that you must now decree to the goddess of harmony to charge her harmony into your feeling side of life. Yes, that's not what this is. All who will become part of the fraternity are going to be working directly with your grand cosmic being, the hero within you, to help elevate its presence more quickly. Number one. Number two is to assist the quickening of your biological form, so that your biological form becomes a better platform for your hero within to rise up. This is the fraternal order of the Fellowship of the Rose. By this weekend, the great master known as El Morya, who in previous embodiment in the times of Camelot was King Arthur, he will raise this, all who have gathered here this weekend, he will raise you by communicating with the region of your brain. That region has 3 different names to it. It has a medical science name, it has a metaphysical name, and it has a spiritual name. The spiritual name to this region of the brain is known as Camelot. And it's a region of the brain that allows the brain to bypass the known notions of time and space. It is the region of the brain that can begin to be taught to work with a higher mind. A higher mind, your Christ mind, needs a region of your brain that is beginning to receive higher impulses of God's source. That region is called Camelot. It is being awakened this weekend. And the crown of this conclave by weekend's end is that King Arthur will have activated that part. And you see, this is an example what we teach you about the power of the attention. In this minute that I've been talking about that region of the brain, I know that your messenger here is experiencing extrasensory sensation in that area of his brain because I'm talking about it. So that is going to become activated, and that area is Camelot, and you will, by weekend's end, be raised to the fellowship, fraternal order of the Fellowship of the Rose. I thank you, beloved hearts. I thank you most for your faith. I thank you for your steadfastness to walk the path, to live the path. I thank you for your efforts, for your sincerity. I thank you in a way that you will very soon thank yourself. And that's for making it real. Namaste, beloved hearts. I thank you.